So, Scott, tell me about the email you received 3 days ago.
Oh, yeah. So it was really crazy. It was this email that came it was sent to me, it was sent to my film agent, Judy, and it was sent to my literary agent, Laura Nolan. And it came in and it said, Lui Chi Woo wants you to come to Hong Kong to give a speech at his annual gala, or actually no, it wasn't an annual gala, it was the opening for a anti-sex trafficking, anti-domestic violence organization that he had founded in Hong Kong, and they wanted to invite me to come. And it was just a very formal email from a lawyer named Nelson Chen, and very official. But it went into my spam box. But luckily, Judy and Laura, they got it.
All right, so who's Lui Chi Woo?
Lui Chi Woo is a mega billionaire worth $15 billion on the Forbes 500 or whatever. And he is a philanthropist. He owns casinos, and he is the founder of something called the Lui Chi Woo Prize for World Civilization. A really, really, really powerful guy. He's also the equivalent of a senator in China, and sits on like the big, main Communist Party boards. Like really, really important, powerful person.
So it's your agent who gets this email initially, and because your copy went into the spam box. She gets the email. What does she suggest doing?
So she gets this email and she says, Scott, I'm gonna reply, so she occasionally handles these sort of speaking engagements for me, and there's always this question, like, you want to take speaking engagements because you get paid good money and you get treated well, and so the strategy is, bill high, bill like the most you've ever gotten for a speaking event and see what happens. And obviously he's a billionaire, so we highball him. We say, yeah, sure, I'd love to come out and speak at your anti-sex trafficking, domestic violence organization, but you're gonna have to pay me $15,000, and you're gonna have to fly me first class to Hong Kong. And that's what we countered. And we actually, we sent, there's like a template for this, and but that's what we sent back.
So, and with, that was your highball. You're not really expecting to get this. What was their response?
Yeah, what was their response, right? So I have it like right here in front of me on a laptop, so it comes in on like formal letterhead, an email formal letterhead with all of the normal things, contingencies, and the sort of legal language, and it says essentially, I'm sorry, but you vastly lowballed us. We would like to give you $25,000. Cha-ching. Not only that, we are going to fly you first class. And I was like, oh, that's great. Or if you want, we could send a private jet. And you go down this thing, you're like, a private jet? Not only a private jet. If we're going to let you take 6 of your entourage, because I roll with an entourage, so I'm glad they knew that. So 6 of my entourage to come with me, and if they happen to be coming from all different locations, they can scrap the private jet, and we can all do first class tickets from around the country. And not only that, there's a $10,000 clothing allowance. Everyone gets a per diem of $500 a day. I mean, it wasn't just blowing my $15,000 thing out of the water. It was like they were treating me like royalty.
So at this point, what are you thinking?
Like, what is going on? I'm thinking, wait, what is this organization? You go to the website, and it's a little like I don't know, it's janky. It's a janky website, with this picture of like sort of like stock photography on it, but still official. And what I'm thinking is that this billionaire who's 90 years old and has this Nobel Prize sort of thing is probably just trying to like establish a legacy, right? At that point, money doesn't mean anything to you, and you want to, perpetuate yourself into the future. And maybe he's just willing to throw money willy-nilly at a talk about this. And the other thing I'm thinking is like, wait, why are you going to me for this? I am a investigative journalist. My first book that I ever wrote was called The Red Market, about organ trafficking around the world. And I thought that maybe he was, since he's against sex trafficking, he wanted to write about organ trafficking. He wanted somebody who was just in the trafficking space. And I think he's just vastly overpaying for me. And I'm also starting to get a little bit weirded out.
What got your spidey sense tingling, as they say?
Yeah, right. Well, okay. So, in addition to the amazing money, right? There were some catches, if you will, into this contract. The first catch is it's a 10-minute speech, which is like bonus, great, 10 minutes, I can do that. But in addition to the 10 minutes, they're gonna write it for me, right? They're gonna write my speech, which is totally weird. And in addition to that, and I guess a way to like make that a little okay, they also said that I could have approvals over what they wrote. So I could probably, if they were going to make me say something dumb or bad or horrible or whatever, I can navigate around that. So that was like weird, but maybe okay. And the second thing they said is that we want you to give a $50,000 donation to our organization, which is, crazy. I'm an author. That's impossible. But they were able to make that a little bit better by saying, don't worry, we're going to pay you $50,000 extra, and then you'll just pay us that money back. Basically, they just want a photo op of me giving them a check, and it was going to be good. But this is like super, super weird, right? They're going to give me $50,000 and then I'm going to pay them back $50,000. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So this, you're a little suspicious about all of this. So you decide to maybe do, some investigating, which is what you do as a career.
Right.
So you enlist some help from friends. Who did you reach out to?
Okay. So I can't keep secrets. I'm not really good at it. So I just blasted everybody I know. The first person I talked to after Judy came back to me with all of this information is I reached out to a bunch of investigative journalists, and especially people who were doing like trafficking work. I was like, did you guys get this weird email from a foundation? Were you invited to a major gala with all sorts of celebrities there? Not only celebrities, but the invitation list also included like the founder of Alibaba, the like number 3 in the China's government, like really, really powerful people. I figured that they weren't just going to focus on me, right? So I called out to other people and I was like, is this super weird? And I sort of outlined the whole deal. And they're all like, it's super weird, but they're also like, but that's sort of cool, right? We don't get these emails all the time. And then after I talked to these, and then I also said, can you guys look into it for me? Can you go into the, whatever sources you have and find out more? And, they all said, yeah, sure, we're going to Google the hell out of this guy. So that was the first group. The next group I emailed was the embassy in Hong Kong, the American embassy. And I was like, have you ever heard of Lui Chi Woo? What's going on? I set that off into space. And then I emailed, just like everyone, I emailed friends who might want to come along because I need an entourage, right? I emailed a friend of mine who used to work for the CIA and now the Department of Defense. I emailed somebody who works at the State Department, and I emailed somebody who's a friend of mine here who works closely with the NSA on like sort of classified material. I also emailed an ex-girlfriend of mine who now lives in China and does like cross-cultural communication because I'm trying to figure out what I'm not getting about this whole situation, and she might know something. So yeah, a lot of people.
Did you enlist a lawyer?
Oh, and I also called my friend Sid, who was my lawyer. And what Sid, because obviously there are some really, really weird legal parts of this thing, like with $50,000, what do you do? And so So here's what they all said, okay? So send it off to Hong Kong embassy, they don't reply. Investigative journalists, they're on it. I send it to who else did I say?
Lawyer?
Oh, my lawyer, and he says, well, there's some real implications here. Like, I could be on the hook for money laundering by moving $50,000, like weirdly, from there to here and then here to back to them. That could like flag the Treasury Department. And in addition, my NSA friend said there was a law recently passed by the Trump administration where if you're in public events with Huawei or XTE, these are two telecom giants, and they're, you're talking sort of about official matters, that could actually be construed as a felony as of 2 months ago. And that could be a big problem. He also gave me lots of tips because he works in China sometimes. And he says, if you go there and, what he has done in the past is he would stay at these 5-star hotels and then he'd leave his passport in his safe. And then later, how it was put in the safe, and later he'd come back and his passport was moved. And then he put a camera in his room. And when he left, it's sort of like a webcam, and he says he left and he came back and these like 3 dudes came in, he caught them on the webcam, shuffling through his stuff. So now I'm thinking, oh my God, like Chinese state craziness. And then of course, very important, there are protests going on in Hong Kong right now, which you might be familiar with. And when I wrote The Red Market, I wrote about how the Chinese government was involved in organ trafficking, right? That they're taking political prisoners and they're removing organs. And all of a sudden this gets, from weird to like potentially sinister. Are they using me as like a pawn in some sort of like anti-Hong Kong protest? Are they going to be spying on me? Am I going to be somehow used as a puppet to get behind organ traffickers and like sort of whitewash organ trafficking? I mean, it sounds really, really sketchy.
And then you also called your friend at DOD. And what did she have to say? Okay,
and then my friend at DOD, she at first didn't get back to me. She's like, I'll look into this soon. And then...
So while you're waiting for her, how did you respond to them?
Oh, right. So how did I respond to...
The Lui Chi Woo Foundation. The Lui Chi Woo people, yeah.
Yeah, so considering all these problems, there are a couple things that I need to know. One, what exactly is the speech that I'm going to be giving? What is the character of it? Can you send me a copy of my words? Am I basically going up there and being like, I love organ trafficking. Organ trafficking is amazing, and these people are the best at it. Is that what I'm going to be saying? Because that's not what I want to be saying. So I need that. And the second thing that we had, Judy wrote back to them, was maybe I shouldn't be doing the money. Like, is there any way we could do this without moving $50,000 back and forth? Because that's just not culturally appropriate. But honestly, also at this point, I'm thinking, this is so Tom Clancy Bond villainy weird that I would do it for no pay just because I wanted to see this. I want to be in the middle of the billionaires controlling the planet. And I'm, it's just the weirdness of this story that is so amazing to me.
So you send that back.
Yes.
And then finally your friend at DOD does get back to you.
Right. And she had done actually a lot of research like all day. I think that, you get an email like what I sent to her and she's just fascinated and she goes in. And she raises all the points that I raise. One, is this going to ruin my reputation? Probably. Is this going to be potentially dangerous? Am I going to be participating in spying? Like, she doesn't know. The money's really weird. And then at the end of the email, she says, she also says that, but maybe there's a way to make it work because honestly, if it is just a lonely billionaire who needs his legacy, it's probably actually ultimately going to be okay. Which is sort of what I wanted to hear. But then at the very end of this whole message, she says, oh, wait, I did a little bit more of a deep dive, and here is what I found. There's a link to a press release on the Lui Chi Woo Prize for World Civilizations website, which says, I am in no way affiliated with the Lui Chi Woo Foundation. This came out yesterday, and that this is a scam. Actually, it doesn't say it's a scam, but I am pursuing legal action against these people. So this was all a lie. this was the most elaborate, I am a Nigerian prince who won the lottery and wants to give you money thing that I've ever come across in my whole life. I mean, their deal points for dealing with like speaking agencies were on point. I will even link to it. I will give you the letter they sent me. I'll put it in the doobly-doo down there. And I know somebody out there is going to get caught by this. And I hope they are Brad Pitt or Leonardo DiCaprio or someone like that, because I mean, this shit is bananas. It is such an Ocean's 11 meets spearfishing event. And I was thinking about this all day. Like this was why I was like, whoa, am I going to Hong Kong to be with the celebrities, to be with the billionaires? What is going on? Am I going to be hollowed out for my kidneys and stuff? I mean, wow, it was amazing.
So basically, the real Lui Chi Woo came out and was like, this Lui Chi Woo is trying to steal your money and your organs.
And this is
and your
why
children.
and this is why Lui Chi Woo is, in a way, my hero here. He is the savior of this Lui Chi Woo catastrophe weird thing that happened to me. Yes. Okay, that is my story. Thank you for listening. Enjoy this little snippet into my life.